It is time to breathe again on the latest breath of fresh air webcast. So as Patrick disappears in and out of the virtual background there, welcome
I
to
didn't
the
even know it would do that. Like I was like, what the heck is that?
show.
That's
so,
weird.
well,
It's like that poltergeist.
that's the but you disappear in and out of them. I guess I'm sitting pretty close to where I'm not disappearing, but
I need to get closer. This.
the shoulder disappears. But everybody, welcome to the show. Glad to have you on with us. And of course, we are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So, Patrick, lots to get to. And I guess let's start with these NBA playoffs, and we'll do a preview of the two conference final series. So we are down to the
I got a question. Are we going over any hockey today?
yes, hockey is in there. Didn't you do
Okay.
you read the
I,
text
you
message?
know what, dude? It's been a day.
Okay.
I normally
All
do
right.
read your text messages, but it has been a day today.
Yes, Patrick, we're gonna hit on the Stanley Cup for sure. I mean,
Okay,
of
there it
course,
is.
you
Yep,
have five game sevens, of course.
of course.
So so we'll start with previewing the conference finals in the NBA. So we are down to the final four, their version, the NBA's version of the final four. We'll start in the Eastern Conference because that is the series that is getting underway in about 30 minutes or so. And you have the Boston Celtics taking on the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat knocked out the Philadelphia 76ers in their semifinal round, and the Boston Celtics are coming off of a win off of the previously defending champion Milwaukee Bucks in 7 games. So,
Whoa, what a series, man!
yes.
God, what a series!
So, so we'll let's review this. I know you have been high on Boston, so Boston is your finals pick. I know this. So,
Mhm.
seeing how Boston is your finals pick, I know you have them beating the Heat, obviously. How many games?
Man, I on I don't want to I don't want to disgrace the Heat or discredit what the Heat has done. They're going to come off of a lot of rest. They're going to be ready to play. They got home court advantage. Um, I mean, Boston just came off of one of the most exciting series of games I think I've ever watched in basketball. Man, that was phenomenal. That was the chippiest. Dude, hats off to the refs for letting them play, man. Dang. I mean, there was times where I was like, "Ooh, that should have been a foul." They let them play, and they let them play on both sides. Man, I loved it. That was the best game I think I've seen. I don't think I've seen any team shoot over 26, 30 free throws in the entire series. There might have been a few. There might have been, but I don't know if there was. But man, I mean, obviously I got Boston winning. I'm probably going to go with Boston in 6. I think that if Boston could have handled business a little faster with Milwaukee, which they weren't going to, but if they could have, I think that they would have been a little bit more rested. They are going to be coming into a very rested, high potent offense with Miami. Um, but I think it boils down to the teamwork that Boston has on the defense, man. If they pull together like they did against those Bucks, this could be a quicker series, but I don't think it will. I got Boston in 6.
Yeah, I I was going back and forth. Okay, I like Boston too. In the series, Miami is good, man. They're
They are.
well coached. Eric Spoelstra is definitely one of the best coaches in the league, and Miami has a deep roster with the two. We know about Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero coming off the bench, PJ Tucker in there giving defense. It's
Six
just
man award.
yeah. Well, he's won one before. Hero has. Um, but like, yeah, who won it this year? This year was Can't believe it's escaping me right now. No, last year it was Jordan Clarkson. Who won Sixth Man of the Year this year?
I thought it was Hero.
You know, and it was Hero. Yes, it
That's
was.
what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I
You
don't
had
know
me
why I
second
was thinking
guessing on
about
it, and
something.
I was like, man, like Charles, you know this stuff better than I do, and
Yes, yeah,
it was
yeah.
Hero this year.
Yes, it was Hero this year. You know, hey, the best mess up too. So
Best of 7, man. That's the reason why you play the game. You know what I mean?
the memory goes a little bit blank sometimes too. But yes, yep, Hero is definitely the Sixth Man of the Year this year. But I mean, Miami has a deep roster, and you know they're gonna come with a lot of numbers on there. You know they're gonna play tenacious defense there. Boston is very tenacious defensively too. I think it's just gonna be one of those back and forth scraps, kind of like what you saw with the Celtics and Bucks. I think I'm gonna go 6. I'm with you there. I'm gonna go to Celtics in 6. Would not surprise me if Miami does come out and win, though. Like I said, Miami has a deep team. They're the more rested team as it stands right now. Boston,
What's scary the most, man? They're the more rested team.
yeah, and Boston is kind of dealing with some stuff. They're not gonna have Marcus Smart today in game, and Al Horford is out too. The Al Horford, that's a bigger loss than a lot of people would want to give in terms of that name recognition. But Al Horford's a very important player for this Celtics team. I mean, very important. Just a steadying influence, veteran influence, good on defense, can score offensively. Yeah, just a Swiss Army knife dude. Yeah, just a Swiss Army knife, consistent. Al Horford is a pro. That's the best way I can do it. Yeah, I know that's obvious. Yeah, well, Charles is nothing but professionals. But this man goes about his business like professionals should. He's just the constant, just the consistent guy. Whatever you need, he's got you. You want him to guard bigs, he can do it. You guard small guys, he can do that too. He's just very important to what they do. So I expect Boston. I think Game 3 they'll probably be around their full capacity. I guess depending on what happens with Horford and these health and safety protocols, because that's why he's out. Smart has a foot injury. So they're going to sit him out tonight. He may come back in game 2, 3, and they should have their big man, Robert Williams, back as well. Miami is without Kyle Lowry. And look, I get it. I like Kyle Lowry. I'm not saying Lowry is garbage by any means, but look, if Miami loses this series, it won't be because they didn't have Kyle Lowry. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. Agreed. Now, I think their biggest loss, if they did lose anybody, and I hope they don't, because you know how I feel about games. I want the best on the court.
Yeah, you want the best. You want the best at their best.
You want the best at their best. And I mean, I agree. Kyle Lowry is not going to be the one that makes the difference. Jimmy Butler is, and we all know that. So, I mean, I would even go as far as saying Heroes are far more important than Kyle. Truthfully, you know what I mean? So, no, if they lose this, it's not because of him. And truthfully, I just feel Boston is a better team. You know, I don't expect Marcus Smart to stay out longer than game 1. I expect him to be game 2, and he's like, I don't give a crap if my foot is sprained. We're gonna run because I guarantee you that foot was sprained in game 7. Nobody said anything. I mean, I remember there was a hobble around game 5 in the third quarter. I guarantee you that's when it happened. But nobody's pulling him out in game 6 or 7. I guarantee you that nobody pulled me out either. You know what I mean? Right. But it's easier to miss a game 1 than it is to miss a game 7. So.
Yep. And so, well, I guess we'll move on over to the Western Conference. But both of us are on record as having the Celtics in 6 in this series. So, but we expect very good basketball. What's going on?
Brantley, stop knocking over there.
So let's move on to the Western Conference, and you have the Golden State Warriors coming off of their 6-game victory over a very scrappy and young, feisty Memphis Grizzlies squad, and they will play the Dallas Mavericks, coming off of beating the Phoenix Suns, the number one seeded Phoenix Suns, and destroying them in Game 7, 123-90 in Phoenix. So in the background, as you guys know, I am based out of Dallas, Fort Worth. So I have the American Airlines Center in the background here. And that's where games 3 and 4 will be at for this series. But what do you have for this series, Patrick? How many games and who?
Well, let me tell you, Dallas, wow. Congratulations on that blowout Game 7 win. That was way not expected. I mean, I could not believe they shut down that Phoenix squad that way in the first half. I mean, when I sent you that text, what was it?
You said Luka and the Suns are tied in the first half.
Yeah, Luka and the Suns are tied at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
That
was true. I mean,
that was amazing. He did that in the first half against that Sun, and not only him, but defense. Holy cow! The way they shut him down. Chris Paul nowhere to even. I mean, where was he at? He might as well not even been on the court. And Booker, I mean, at least he was off, but man, he just couldn't make nothing. Double teams were crazy. Shout out to the Mavs for doing what they did. They knew what they were going to do to stop, and it worked.
What I think they did, and I was kind of waiting for this, Patrick, before we get to the predictions. I was kind of waiting for Dallas to see if they were going to do this. You remember when the Boston Celtics played the Brooklyn Nets? Well, of course. Oh, okay. I know you do, but when they played the Brooklyn Nets in the first round, and they swarmed Kevin Durant, and they swarmed Kyrie Irving, coming after these offensive players and forcing other people to beat them. Those two dudes just never got comfortable. I said, if Boston can do this to Kevin Durant and Corey and Kyrie Irving, who, I mean, we would say they're probably more potent in terms of scoring punch than Chris Paul and Devin Booker is. Chris Paul is kind of the floor general type, so it's kind of a different style of player. But if you swarm those dudes, same thing. Like that's what I was waiting to see, if Dallas and Jason Kidd and the coaching staff over there was going to make that adjustment. They did in Game 3, starting in Game 3. And it just continued on, and in Game 7, it just all came together.
Boy, they perfected it in Game 7. Wow. Hey, a lot of people has texted me throughout the playoffs going, man, remember when Atlanta picked him up and then traded him for Trae Young? I was like, yeah. They go, man, that wasn't a good pick, was it? I was like, look, it's like this, man. I don't think Luka would have done as well in Atlanta as he has in Dallas. And the reason why is Dallas is willing to spend money to put around him. Look at what they did when go and get those trades earlier in the season. What did Atlanta do? We put Capella around him. Capella ain't gonna do crap. I mean, come on. So no, I think Trae Young. I don't think Trae Young would have done as well in Dallas as he does in Atlanta, because I don't think he would have been able to shoulder that kind of pressure. You know what I mean?
So the one thing I would say about that, though, for those people who are saying, "Ooh, it's gonna look like a good pick," didn't Trae Young hold on now? Look, I know I had a slip up. When it came to the 6 man of the year thing with Tyler Hero.
That happens. That's an anomaly. We're all right.
But Trae Young, he was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year too, right? I'm just saying.
I'm saying too.
Okay, all right. It's not like this was a clear slam dunk. Oh, they made a mistake. No, Trae Young was just in the Eastern Conference Finals last year.
Last year. And but this is my thing, man. It's like I think that was the best move. I really do. And I even told the people that I was like, look, that's the best move for Dallas and Atlanta, because that gives Dallas their man and it gives Atlanta their man. I just don't like, even if we switched them, I think now they would be fine. But I mean, just what they've done for the teams. To me, it was a slam dunk. Looking at it today, I wouldn't want Luka on my team. Don't no, I take that back. I would want Luka on my team. I'd love for Luka and Trae Young to be on the same team. That would make me happy. Ben Atlanta talk about going to get Ben Simmons. I'm going to get mad on that one. But anyway, so back on this question, Golden State and in Dallas. Oh man, this is the one I went back and forth on, because if Dallas plays this way, and this is the funny thing, like when I looked at Dallas and I started paying attention to what they did, even though Phoenix had the best record after All-Star break, Dallas had the best record.
Yeah, it was between Phoenix, Dallas, and Boston. Those three teams were killing it after the All-Star break.
They were killing it after the All-Star break. So I mean, you don't rule out Dallas just because Phoenix was number one and I think Dallas is the number 3, I think, or whatever it were.
They were fourth. They were the fourth seed.
Okay, so they just had a really bad first of the half, and then they went and got those pickups, which made a tremendous crazy. But you know what? I think this is going to be a shooting fest. This is going to be a fun one to watch. No stress. There's not going to be a lot like in the paint scoring. I mean, there will be, but this is going to be a shooting fest. I mean, like threes, like crazy. I can't wait to watch it. But I am going to take Golden State. I am going to take Golden State in 6.
So those other teams. So we're going to talk a little bit more about Phoenix and Milwaukee and those teams here in a moment. Now, but you know us, we like to talk about the winning teams first. We're not. Yeah, we're going to start it. We'll let the talking heads and all the other people go off about the losers first.
Yeah,
but
about the losers, they're irrelevant at this point.
You got all off season to talk about them, but we got Golden State and Dallas. I have Golden State in 6. Now that was my pick to come out of the West, so obviously I was going to have them. I have Milwaukee in the East, for full disclosure, just in case y'all forgot our picks.
I had Memphis.
Yep, and Stan had Miami and Memphis. Yep. So he's still looking good in the East, and his and your picks are facing each other. So congratulations on that. But yeah, I have Golden State in 6, and the main reason is this: unlike Phoenix, Golden State has the pedigree. These guys have been through these battles. They've been through all the wars, the finals runs they've had. They have 3 titles in a span of, like, they won the first one in 2015 and have been to 5 NBA finals with the crew of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. And Andre Iguodala, even though he hasn't played much, he's on that team right now too. We'll see if he gets a little bit more of a look in this series. But I just think that championship pedigree Golden State brings, it's going to be a little bit too much for Dallas. Now, I give Dallas a puncher's chance. If you have a player like Luka Doncic, you have a shot for sure. And if he can get people like Jalen Brunson, like Maxi Kleber, Spencer Dinwiddie coming off the bench as well, he gets those players to play with them, Dallas can definitely win this series. But I just think Golden State's going to prove to be a little bit too much in there. And I got them winning in 6 games as well. Just that's the main thing with them, with Golden State. I just like their championship pedigree, that medal that they have, being through these battles. Steve Kerr being the coach there, I give him a little bit of an edge over Jason Kidd. Although Jason Kidd has come a long way from when he was getting fired from Brooklyn, getting fired from Milwaukee. He seems like a guy now, and I've been able to watch it right here, having kind of a front seat to it here in Dallas. He's just a guy who is adjusting a lot more. He's evolving as the coach. Whereas before, I think he was kind of the my way or the highway type. Now he's coming in here. He knows what he has. He has an understanding of the roster, and he's able to make these adjustments on the fly a lot better than he did back in the day. So I think Dallas is a a up and coming team, and they're probably one of those teams that we talk about a year early. No one expected them to get to the Western Conference Finals this year, but I think they're running into just a different team, and I think Golden State will put them out.
I agree. I will say this. I want to point out this one this one shot Luka did in Game 7. Probably about 3 feet away from the 3-point line at the top of the key, and he nailed that 3-pointer, and he gave that Trae Young look like,
yes,
my house. Oh, dude, I stood up right then and was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about right there, because this is his house. I don't care if they are in Phoenix. This is his house. He looked around like everybody was like, mine. I'm claiming it. Putting dibs on it. Hey, I like the look, man. I like the confidence that he had, and this is what I like about Luka the most, right? No matter how important this stage is, he's always having fun. I like that about him. He's always got a smile on his face. It doesn't matter how important the stage is. I like that about him, and he is a great player, and he just seems like he is just having fun playing. And we've always said it: when you're having fun and you're playing the sport you love, you are very dangerous right now, and Luka is very dangerous.
Yeah, yes, he is, man. And just the young stars that are in there. When you mentioned Luka, Boston, and Jason Tatum, especially. I mean, look,
That boy was unconscious.
I'm all about Jason Tatum, man. Like I love that dude. I like that. I
like him too, man. Dude, I mean, you know what I loved about watching Game 6 and Game 7 with Jason Tatum is that shot. And you can hear it from Boston or Milwaukee. When he hit those shots, and we just said this, you can hear it. I can hear it in Destin.
Yeah.
I can hear it in Destin. The way that net, but I was like,
yeah.
And he just got a pure shot, man. And that one shot he got up over Giannis. How do you get up over a 7-foot guy like that? Holy cow! But man, he's for real too, man. I like watching him play. I remember watching him a couple years ago, and he just didn't seem to have that factor. You know what I mean? That it factor, I guess. But man, he's got it this year. He is confident. He's shooting from everywhere, and he will drain it.
So I'll say this, and then we'll move on for the show. But with Jason Tatum, so I've always been high on the dude, even coming out of Duke. And what I liked about him was his game was complete. Now, with the mindset catch up, that was the question. Can the mindset catch up to where, hey, I know I can do this. I know what I can do. I know where I can get on the court. Can I just get here? Once he gets there, then it's definitely sky's the limit for him. But
Absolutely.
his ability is nice. He has a good all-around game. And the thing that I give him the separator, so if you're asking me which young player outside of Giannis, of course, like Giannis, I think we both think he's the best player in the world anyway. But at this point, but out of the young guys, so we're talking about Jason Tatum, Ja Morant for Memphis, Trae Young, Luka Doncic, Devin Booker, those young dudes like that who are like in their low to mid 20s. Give me Tatum to start. And the reason being is because he's just more complete. Now, most people can say Luka, and I can understand why you would say Luka. He's not the defender Jason Tatum is. And that's what makes Jason Tatum more complete to me.
I agree with you.
Good on both ends of the court consistently. And so that's why I like, give me that guy. But Patrick, so we agree with both of these Eastern Conference and Western Conference picks. So we both expect to see a Warriors Celtics NBA Finals, and we'll see how everything turns out. But man, like I mentioned earlier, we like to start off with the winning teams because that's really who is worthy of getting all the attention right now at this point. They're still
Absolutely.
in the race for the title. That's where it should start. Of course, all the talking heads, all the talking head garbage, and all the other mess that's out there, and people wondering, oh my God, what happened to these other teams? We leave that up to them. But we do have little games we like to implement with these. So remember, I told you about the game of running it back or breaking it up. So you weren't
Well,
there for it when I did last year. You was out of
I do
town.
remember watching the show. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we're gonna have you play in this game, Patrick. Let's get it. And
It's
we'll
gonna be
start. So we
interesting.
have the four teams. Huh?
I said this is gonna be interesting.
Yes, man, because look, so we have the four
Mention
teams who
that in
got
the text
knocked out.
too, that we're gonna play this game.
Huh?
Mention in the text we're gonna play this game.
Yes.
Shoot.
I did.
Okay.
I didn't mention the name of the game, but I just said we're gonna play a game with the four teams who got bounced out. And the
Oh,
thing is with this one, so the thing is, Patrick, with this one, this because all four of these teams that we're gonna mention, they got put out in the semifinals. So that's kind of that spot where you're thinking to yourself, all right, can I make some adjustments, or do I stay with this squad and make another push for it next year and see how much further we can get? So they're kind of in that spot in the middle. Like, what can we do to either improve or just start over? So with that, we will start with the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, of course, as we mentioned, they went out to the Golden State Warriors, and they have a young team, very scrappy team. Of course, Ja Morant's kind of the leader of that team. He went out with the injury in game three or after game three. And the rest of the guys, I mean, they still play pretty well. Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson Jr., just a Zaire Williams. They have a good young team. So, Patrick, if you are the Memphis Grizzlies, do you break this up or run it back? Or is it somewhere in the middle?
no, I like it. I run it back. I like this team. I like this team. I mean, I wouldn't have picked them to be coming out of their conference if I didn't. And even with Morant going out, I feel that he would have been a difference maker. But he is. They are playing the Golden State Warriors at this point. So you're playing, like you were saying earlier. This is a pedigree. These teams have been, or this team has been battle tested. 5 finals appearances. They got what, 3 rings? So I mean, this team is battle tested, and this is going to be a hard team to beat. Now, I picked them to beat Golden State, but it is a very calculated pick because there's not many other teams that was going to beat Golden State. I felt that this team could have done that. But no, I run this team back because this team, my personal opinion, is 2 years ahead of schedule. And I say run it back again. And if they can't do something next year with like a conference final or make it back to the same place where they were at, then we'll have this discussion again. But no, you run this team back. Let's see what they do.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yes, you definitely run it back with this Memphis team. They're young, they got some valuable experience through this run, and by facing a team like Golden State, you get that experience. Like a learning. It's a learning that just what it takes to win, what it takes to get it done.
Yep.
And that core, that nucleus they have developed there, I would definitely run it back with them as well. And they're young. I mean, you're talking about low 20s, mid 20s
Their
guys.
average age is 24.
Yeah, they want to say
Run it
aren't they the
back.
youngest team? Like,
They were
aren't
the
they
youngest
averaging
team. They
youngest
were the
team in the
youngest team
NBA?
in NBA. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think there was
you
one other
definitely.
team that came close, 25, I think. And I want to say that was Pelicans, I think. They were a young
Yeah, the
team.
Pelicans have some good youth too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely. I'm with you. You definitely run it back with Memphis. I guess if anything, maybe you try to see if you can get, I guess, a little bit of a more like a little bit of a scoring threat, maybe more,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of help with the scoring punch. But
Solidify that lineup. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, maybe guys like Dylan Brooks continue to emerge, and maybe they become that legit scoring threat to have them be just more potent scoring to go around with the scrappiness on defense they show. So yeah, I'm totally with you there, Patrick. Run it back with this Memphis squad. Um, we're gonna just, I guess, bounce around between conference and conference. So let's go over here to the east and look at the let's look at the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, of course, they got bounced out by the Miami Heat in 6 games. They have Joel Embiid in the middle, and then outside of that, they have guys who are overpaid and guys who just really aren't doing much.
Mhm.
So this one I expect will be a little bit tougher to decide than what we said about Memphis. So what do you have for Philly? Run it
Break
back.
it up.
Break it up.
Breaking it up. I ain't gonna waste any time. You keep it. You keep Joel. You keep Maxi. You get new players. I pass that. You blow it up. You blow that entire thing because there is nothing about this team that says championship for the past 6 years. Nothing. Joel is the only thing that was very consistent. And now you got Maxi, who you can run your offense, or he can run the offense through Joel. You put some key players around him, and I think Philly would be a lot better than what they have been in the past 6-7 years. But you blow this up and you get rid of it and move on. Get these players out of here. They're too old, and I guess they're really not old. They're just not good. They're not good together. Let's put it that way. They're just not good together. Um, but yeah, you keep those two main components and you build the rest around them too.
Okay, so real quick, going back to Memphis, good young coach. We didn't bring up the coach, but good young coach in
Oh
Taylor
yeah,
Jenkins as well. So that's another reason you definitely want to run it back with Memphis. So I bring that up because you mentioned the coach for Philly. You got Doc Rivers. I
time to blow it up, bro.
Yeah, Doc Rivers he's just not that good. Like, I
Get
mean,
me
he's
Bears,
okay. Yeah,
get Cup,
he just, I
everything.
don't know. He's just not. I don't know if his message consistently gets through to the players anymore. And also, I have questions about Joel Embiid too. Now, yes, he's been an MVP candidate, but when they get to this point, when the Sixers have gotten to this point, and I get it, he had some injuries. He was playing with a broken pace, and he had a torn ligament, I guess, in his thumb as well. But here's the thing I would say about that: when he came back in games 3 and 4 and Philly was winning, everyone's like, "Oh, it's so great." And then Miami came back home and smashed the Sixers by 35 points. Now you want to make excuses for Joel Embiid's injuries? No, if he out there, he out there.
Nope.
Just
If he
simple as
got
that.
that,
If he's
simple as
out
that.
there, yeah. And I'm sorry, it didn't look like in that game 6, that whole Sixers team, they looked like they quit. They looked like they gave up. And yeah, I'm with you. You could build around him. And you got Maxi. Maxi looks like he's going to be a good young player, but the rest of them, you overpaid for Tobias Harris. That was a ridiculous deal you signed for him. And you heard Jimmy Butler at the end. Tobias Harris over me? I'm with Jimmy on that one. You got to
Me
find a
too.
way to keep Butler over Harris if you're the Sixers, but they didn't. They went with Harris, and then you traded. You had Ben Simmons. You got rid of that headache, and then you brought in another headache in James Harden. And James Harden does what he does. He tanked and disappeared in the playoffs. That's what he does. So it's just worse now because it looks like he's just lost all his explosiveness. He can't get to the hoop anymore, and he's not getting these calls that he was baiting referees with all these years. The little flop fouls, the little crafty. Oh, I'm gonna grab the dude, but make it look like he's grabbing me, and then I get to the foul line 17 times a game. So it's just. But
Well,
he's a
what really
declining
hurt,
player, man. Declining player.
and I agree. And what really hurt James Harden was his shots that weren't what's that rule that they did? You have to have a
It was the shooting motion. So the thing is,
you have
so
to have
people,
your shooting motion, and if
yeah,
you're
so
not in
people,
your
so,
shooting
so
motion,
what was happening was people was trying to shoot, and then they're throwing their bodies into a closing defender, but it's nowhere near your shooting motion. You're just trying to draw a foul, and they were consistently calling that for him and others. And now they said, no, man, no.
you got to. And when you took that part, when they took that part of his game away, he's been horrible since. I mean, I remember him doing it in Oklahoma.
Yep.
I
And
mean, that was his part of his game. That was it. And when they took it away, he's just been a declining player ever since. And I mean, fantastic shooter. But then again, when you take away the and one fouls, or what the professor, remember the professor, how he'll do that crossover and he kind of push you with his hand. That's one you were talking about. When you took that part of his game away, he ain't got nothing else. Because now it's an offensive foul, and now it's going back the other way, and he's not used to that. So, and even then, he even has that little shuffle sidestep that, my personal opinion, that dude's traveling.
Yeah, the trying to do the step back, but
that is a
takes
travel.
like 3 steps with it.
He takes
yeah, yeah, that's a travel. Yeah,
that is a travel, dude. It is a travel.
So,
and they're still giving him that. I mean, at least some people are trying their best to perfect that shuffle step shot, but that's a travel.
Back.
That's a travel. It's a travel. Blow it up. Blow it up. You keep Joel, you keep Maxey, and you build around them too. Go for that.
So we got Jonathan coming in. What's going on, Jonathan? And yes, you are right. His kryptonite has always been the word playoff. You are right. He consistently disappears, especially in the clutch moments and elimination games. Man took 2 shots in the second half of Game 6. 2 shots.
2.
That's
should at least taken 9.
Yes, for a man who is known for shooting, for shooting, getting any shot, and not needing a shot that he's never liked. Now all of a sudden you don't want to shoot in these clutch moments. It's ridiculous. So what I would say with Philly, yeah. So Philly does it. So Philly does it. Definitely closer to break it up for sure. I wouldn't go tank mode. They have a couple of people they can bring, and I bring up the whole tank thing because we know the 76ers are famously known for tanking and trusting the process, but it's not at that point. But they do. Yeah, you have Embiid, you have Maxey. I'm with you. You can build around them. You cannot give James Harden a max deal. You can't do it. There's no way you could do that.
You give him a boot, and you roll on.
Jonathan, okay, so yeah, look, personally, I think Harden's gonna resign because he's gonna get damn near 50 million a year. If
they'll offer him max deal because they think he's
but so yeah, he's not saying no to that. And so I think we say run it back, but man, I don't know if Philly really has a choice but to run it back. Yeah, because they're gonna sign Harden to at least another year. They're probably gonna do it. Now I wouldn't give them I wouldn't give them anything where it's anything over 1 year. I just wouldn't do it. I would take a flyer and just go from there.
I'd give him a stick of chewing gum and some new shoelaces and call it a day.
Oh, I'm with you. If it's up to me, I let him walk. I
let him walk. Bye, bro. Bye. Here. I'll get the whole team to sign a basketball for you. Deuces. Get out of Philly.
So Patrick, let's move on, man. We got a few more topics to get into. So let's go to the Milwaukee Bucks since they are out from the series with the Boston Celtics, and we know what Milwaukee has. They have what we say is the best player in the world, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they have a good roster. I just think this was one of those situations where Boston, you give them all the credit. I mean, Giannis had 200 points, 100 rebounds, and 50 assists in this series. I mean, this dude
The
did
dude was
everything
balling.
he could to bring his team through there. And look, and this is another thing before we get to that question. Now, a lot of people are gonna point to Chris Middleton being out. Yes, that is a big deal. Chris Middleton's the second best player for Milwaukee. I get it. And another thing people will point to is, oh, well, if they played all their players in the last game of the regular season, maybe they have home court advantage for that game 7 instead of
Wouldn't
Boston.
matter.
And I said,
Wouldn't
look,
matter.
but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Patrick. Regardless of what you want to say about that, the fact remains Milwaukee had a 3-2 lead with game 6 at 5-serve Forum in Milwaukee.
Yep.
They had a chance to put the series away. They did not do it because Jason Tatum came in and hit 46 points.
4 games, Charles. 4 games out of 7. The visitor won.
Yeah. But that's the main thing. Milwaukee was up 3-2 in that series.
Yeah, and they should have won it in game 6.
Mm-hmm.
But then Jason Tatum happened.
Yeah.
And went off for 46 points, and didn't he have a double in that game? 46 points, 11 rebounds, 9 rebounds, and 14 assists, something like that. He 46 points, dude. And he was nailing 3-pointers from 3 or 4 feet behind the 3-point line, including the one that he got over Giannis. 7 foot. Tatum is he went off on Milwaukee. What he needed to do, and he done it. And
so Patrick,
he's got supporting people. So anyway.
So run it back or break it up with the Bucks?
I run it back because the pedigree's still there. I mean, yes, Middleton was out, but look at how far they took it with Middleton out. Now, do I think that the players minus Middleton obviously was out, but Giannis, he's going to have more help than what he had. I mean, he needs somebody to step up and give them Middleton numbers. That's what he needs. And nobody stood up to that factor. Now, with Milwaukee, I mean, like you said, a lot of people are going to be like, well, with Middleton out, that's the reason why they lost. And if they would have played their players, then they might have had home court advantage. Look, regardless of the situation, they played the way they played. It is what it is. And that team is still good. They're a good team. So I run it back. Absolutely.
I'm with you. Yeah, you absolutely run that back. And you probably say if you get Middleton back healthy, the other guys can kind of go back to their natural positions. So like Drew Holiday, for an example. Drew Holiday, defensive hawk, one of the best defensive players in the league to me is Drew Holiday. And he's and he does a good amount scoring too. It just turned out to be a little bit too much for him to overcome, and guys like Bobby Portis, who are good players, Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton, and you have good players there, but they just kind of are asked to do a little bit too much. And when you're facing a team as good as the Celtics, it's just too much to overcome. I mean, Boston just had too much for him, and Giannis did everything he could, but it's just too much. It had just too much gas, man. And he ran out of gas because Boston, that intensity they were playing with, the defensive intensity, the bodies they could throw at you. I mean, Boston just had more going. But yeah, I'm with you. Definitely running that back with Milwaukee. You get you maybe the same thing like with Memphis. Get you another guy, maybe who could come off the bench and get you a quick 15, 20, and you'll be ready to go. I mean, look, Milwaukee ain't going nowhere. Like you said, they're there.
Fully expect them to be in this position next year.
Absolutely.
Yes, fully expect it. Now, again, we're looking at, if we're going to say this to Memphis, we're going to have to say this to Milwaukee as well. This is a consistency. You have to be consistently in this position. You don't make it to this far next year, might be a different conversation. Just like Memphis, we're kind of looking at Memphis and going, I mean, I personally think they were 2 years away. I think they're way ahead of schedule. So even with Memphis, I would say let's give it one more year. Milwaukee, you got to be in this position next year. You have to be.
All right, Patrick, finally, let's go over to the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix, we just mentioned they got bounced out, a no-show in Game 7 against the Dallas Mavericks. So Phoenix, this one is interesting to me because you have you got Tatum, no, not Tatum, no, my bad. Devin Booker. You have Devin Booker who's there, but you have an option. You have to decide what you're going to do with DeAndre Ayton, and you have an aging Chris Paul. So with Phoenix, do you do you run it back or do you break this one up?
Break it up. I wouldn't blow it up. I mean, there is an aging Chris Paul. Chris Paul needs to think about retirement. Truthfully, I mean, he's been in the league way too long. I mean, look, if you're gonna play the series the way you played, and then not show up in Game 4, 5, 6, or 7, there's a problem. You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. I cannot take anything away from that Dallas Mavericks defense. They knew what they were doing. Jason Kidd did what he did, and they were phenomenal, you know. But you, as Chris Paul, have got to show up. You got to find ways to make a difference in those games, and he couldn't. Now, with him not finding a way, that leaves everything on Booker. And Booker can't shoulder that. He cannot shoulder the things that Phoenix needs to do.
And see, and that's the thing, Patrick, because as a young player, remember, Devin Booker's supposed to be the next best thing, but he couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. And I've talked highly about Booker. But the problem is that if Booker has to have somebody with him. He has to have somebody that is going to walk that walk with him. And nobody showed up. Booker was shooting. I remember one play Booker shot over
the walk.
What that?
I said Booker can walk the walk, honestly.
No, he couldn't. I mean, it might as well have been Dallas versus Booker because Booker was not getting any, and he couldn't do anything. I mean, they swarmed him, 3 people on him at one time, always on a double team, could never get the pass. If he was at the 1 when he's coming down, they rushed him. They were pinning him against the line. He couldn't do anything. I mean, it was, and Chris Paul, all he did was dribble around and try to wear the defense out. And you ain't wearing that defense out. You're too old. You're moving slow. They're walking and staying with you, Chris. Get out. You take this team and you get rid of it. You get rid of it. You keep a few positions and you build around them. Booker being one of them.
So Patrick, I am with you. I think you got to break this up a little bit too. And I'll say this before we move on. And I'll be done after I say this. Chris Paul. All right. So Chris Paul. Here, look, multiple things can be true. He's a great point guard. He's not a point god, as everybody wants to call him, but he's a good point guard. He's also a nut puncher and a dirty player. Both things can be true. Both things can be true. I'm just saying. Look, there's a whole YouTube montage where you can go in here and Google Chris Paul nut puncher, and you will find the montages. I'm just calling it how see. But
when they're right in his face all the time because he's so short. What can you say? They're eye level.
But here's the thing, though, Patrick. Remember what we said last year when the Phoenix Suns were in the NBA Finals last year against the Milwaukee Bucks, and they had a 2-0 lead and then got, in essence, swept.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are situations where you have a chance and you have to take advantage of those chances because there's no guarantee you're going to get back there. Sometimes you might, other times you weren't. And for Phoenix, I felt that was their chance. Chris Paul, aging player, he's just not going to be able. It's really evident. He's just not going to be able to keep up with that intensity of the playoffs like that anymore. He's too old. He's too old. And teams are just going to run at him. He's going to cry because he's getting double teamed because that's what Chris Paul does. He cries a lot too. So, I mean, look, y'all can debate me if y'all want. If y'all, the Chris Paul defenders, come at me if you want to. Like I said, he's a great point guard, but he's a nut puncher and a crybaby and a dirty player. Everything can be true.
Hey, but people like John Stockton too.
That's true.
He was a dirty player. So was Jeff Hornacek. I love that Utah Jazz team.
Oh God, yeah, not I. But yes, Patrick. So yeah, I'm with you there, man. So let's get to a couple of these other topics. Let's go to the Stanley Cup playoffs for a little bit. Now, look, I just want to say this, man. 5 Game 7s this weekend. It was crazy how close these teams are matched up, and wow. I know there's not a lot of hockey fans, but man, look, if you get the chance to catch a hockey Game 7,
watch it.
Watch it. It is awesome. Awesome. And Jonathan, hey, I've seen all your comments. We'll get to those here at the end. We'll address them. I promise you. But yeah, man, watch those Game 7s, and now here you are. You're in the second round. You have Tampa Bay and Florida. You got St. Louis and Colorado playing tonight, and then tomorrow it'll be the New York Rangers playing the Carolina Hurricanes, and Calgary and Edmonton. What about that battle? Wow, the battle of Alberta. Right? Oof. That's huge up there in Canada. So, awesomeness, man. But that action was awesome.
That'll go 7. Yes. I agree with you, man. I watched most of all the Game 7s, man, and just. Man, you gotta love hockey, man. You got to. It's so fun watching hockey, man. But I will say this: all 8 of those teams, well deserved and where they're at. They had to fight through a lot to get there, and like you said, 5 Game 7s, man. That doesn't happen often, and it doesn't. So it was a lot of good games. The next series, the next round will be just as entertaining. But I do have to say this, man. Boston, tough loss. I don't know what y'all are going to do, but shout out to Patrice Bergeron. He is probably going to retire this year, and I will guarantee you there is not one doubt in my mind that number will be hanging in the rafters. That is an amazing player. I just wanted to say shout out to him for an amazing career. It was fun watching him play, and that was a really cool moment at the end of Game 7 where he stayed on the ice and hugged all of his teammates. So, shout out to Patrice Bergeron for a phenomenal career. He deserves for that number to be hung in the rafters.
And I'm gonna throw this in here, Patrick. So here in the DFW Metroplex, so we talked about the Dallas Mavericks playing in the Game 7. That same day, the Dallas Stars were playing in their Game 7. It was really festive here, and you literally had what they say in back in the day from ABC's Wide World of Sports: the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. You had the Dallas Mavericks win their Game 7, and literally a couple of hours later, you had the Dallas Stars getting beat in overtime to the Calgary Flames up there in Canada. You had a lot of emotions running around this area, man. But the Stars, they did a lot. And that goaltender, Ottinger, I hope I got his name right. Patrick, in Game 7, he had 60 saves. 60 saves.
Yeah.
He did everything and anything he could to get the Stars over the hump. But the Flames they just peppered with shots. I mean, it was just relentless.
What do you do when you have 24 shots on goal in the first period?
Yeah.
What do you do? I mean, they literally had 24 shots in the first period. I was like, wow, I've never seen over 14. You know what I mean? It was like 14 in a period is really good. Now this team had 24 shots on goal, and then I was like, well, I don't think it get any worse than that. 26 the next. I mean, literally like the next period.
So, all right, Patrick, let's get this one topic in, and then we'll get to Jonathan's statements. I just wanted to ask you a question, man. Now, the NFL last week, they had their schedule release. Now, the schedule release in and of itself is really just a thing about when they're playing. They already know who they're playing and where they're playing them. They just don't know when. And the NFL has turned this into a big marketing event because that's what the NFL does. And good on them for, getting them checks. But they had drips and drabs of the schedule come out when they're going to play. And then you hear all the radio shows, television shows breaking down schedules, already forecasting where the records are going to be. So I ask you this question, Patrick. Should I, Mr. Big Time Football fan, love football? Football is my favorite sport. Because I wasn't really looking forward to the whole NFL scheduling thing, does that mean my NFL fan card should be revoked? Okay.
I don't give a crap about that part. I give a crap about game day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Who cares about that crap? That's just dumb. I mean, now don't get me wrong. I'm not a huge. I love football. Don't get me wrong. It's my third favorite sport. Baseball, hockey, football. You know what I mean? But no, I would not be pulling anybody's fan card just because they don't look forward to scheduling day.
Because Patrick, people are geeking out. I mean, they were just literally geeking out, and I said, "Dude, it's just a release of the schedule."
I mean, truthfully,
you already know who they're playing. Yeah,
I didn't know they had scheduling day. I look for Atlanta's, and that's it, bro. After I see Atlanta's, look. I'm a Georgia fan. Most of my football is going to come from college. That's where I'm at. Do I watch NFL? Every now and then. But if I had to choose, if my wife comes in and says you can only pick one game, NFL, Atlanta Falcons, Georgia Bulldogs, I'd be like, Atlanta who? Give me my dogs, man. SEC. SEC. That's where I'm at. Give me college football. I don't give a crap about scheduling day.
So, all right, I feel better. I'm glad that you said that I don't keep my fan card or take it away.
No, you can keep your fan card.
Thanks, Patrick.
Hell, we'll even punch it as saying number one fan because who cares about scheduling day?
So let's get to some of these comments that Jonathan had left. So yes, Tatum is a bad man, absolutely. And I don't know if you caught our conversation earlier about him, but to me, I'm taking him over any of the other young players because he's just more complete. And it's the defensive end where he separates to me. OKC, so they got the 2 and 12 picks. Yes, the draft lottery is tonight. And or the Magic. Yeah, the Orlando Magic got the number 1 pick. So we'll see if the Magic can get some things together there and see who they get. I mean, there'll be a lot of good young players coming out for this draft. This draft should be pretty deep. And then Devin Booker, he said they needed a Robin, or he's a Robin right now. I'm kind of with Jonathan on this one. I think Devin Booker got put into this elite player really fast, like too fast. And I think he's a very good player. But I'm not looking at Devin Booker and saying I don't take him over Luka. I don't take him. I definitely, as we just mentioned, I don't take him over Jason Tatum. I don't even know if I take him over Ja Morant, and I probably don't pick him over Trae Young. I think
I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't pick him over Jaylen Brown either.
Yeah. So I think Booker, I think he's on his way. He had a very good run last year when the Suns were getting to the finals. But I just think on Sunday, when you need a competitive response and Dallas is running away with this game, if Devin Booker is that superstar, he's got to show it. Yeah. Now, we can come at Chris Paul as much as possible, but if Devin Booker is supposed to be the best player, not necessarily the most important player, I would think Chris Paul is the most important player because they got better when he got to the team. Devin Booker had always been on that team. But if that's what's happening, Devin Booker has to show up. He has to be the competitive for spots. If he's supposed to be the answer to Luka Doncic, he's got to be that guy. He was not even close to that. And the thing was, they were talking mess. Phoenix was talking a bunch of mess in this series, and they got smashed in the 7th game at home. So,
hey, like I said when I text you, I said Luka and the Suns are tied at the half.
Yes. I was watching it, man. I said, this is wow. And people, one more thing, man, before we wrap it up, Patrick, people were talking about, oh, this is shocking what happened to Phoenix, that they didn't make it past the semifinals. Is it though?
Is it really?
Yeah, because I just didn't, neither one of us had Phoenix going that far. So to me, not surprising. Maybe the Western Conference Finals, but
I wouldn't even. But no, absolutely not. You still had Dallas. You still had no. I wouldn't even had him go to the. I wouldn't have had him go to the Western Conference Finals. They're just not that good of a team. I mean, yeah, they're great. It's fine to play one game here, one game there, one game there. But when you play a team in a 7-game series, that's totally different because you have game 1, whatever game 1's going to be. Then you have adjustments in game 2. Then you have adjustments in game 3. You have adjustments in now you're just playing at game 4, 5, 6, and 7. There's no more adjustments to be made. You've already made all the adjustments. Now you're just playing. And the way Dallas played from game 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, there was nothing Phoenix could do.
Yep. And
I mean, I expected more, but no, I still had them going out.
Jonathan says he can't pull a James Harden and disappear in crucial playoff moments. You're right.
You're
Absolutely.
right.
He sure can't. Well, y'all, that will do it for this edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast. Look, that's what we're breathing on. I haven't said that in a while. Y'all make sure y'all go to the Breath of Fresh. It has, man. It just hit me. So y'all make sure y'all go to the Breath of Fresh Air YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button, and keep the likes coming on the Breath of Fresh Air Facebook page. So for the foreseeable future, y'all, this will be the time that we'll do this show. We'll start at 7 instead of 8. We'll see how it goes. But I do think this will probably be more permanent. And Patrick and I both like this time spot. So we're going to sit there and get more closer to the prime time here. And I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Everyone who caught it enjoyed the show. And don't hesitate to leave those comments and feedback. You know, we're all about it, good, bad, or indifferent. Jonathan, thanks for catching us. Thanks for getting in here, leaving the comments. And for the rest of y'all take it easy and have a great rest of the week.